It is time to hit social media for our hashtag segment. For that, we'd like to welcome in Andy Swan, the co-founder of LikeFolio.com. Andy, thanks for joining us as always. Thanks for taking a look at Nike with us. And this is one that's kind of intertwined in all the stories. It's going to have holidays coming up. It's obviously got a powerful brand that you guys are tracking. And it's, of course, going to be intertwined a little bit with some of these China trade headlines. So when you have all this stuff going on and you start looking at things, where do you start?
We like to focus in on specific areas of Nike's business. And, today we thought we'd focus in on what's going on the kids side of the market, because we just came off of back to school and we're heading into holiday gift giving season. So a lot of times that back to school season can really help you understand how the holiday season may go in terms of gift giving. And right now we're seeing Nike kids brands, so that's clothes, shoes, all of that. This is tracking people talking about buying their kids this apparel or this footwear. And you can see that over the past 5 or 6 years, we've been up and to the right, but the acceleration lately is incredible. We see Nike having the biggest back to school season that they've ever had. They're going into the holiday season in a really good spot. It just looks like Nike's hitting on all cylinders. They got some trouble with the China stuff, definitely, hitting the radar right now. But from a consumer demand standpoint, among the English-speaking customers that we look at, Nike doing very, very well, and especially on that next generation, really positive for the company.
Andy, this chart in particular seems like it's really confirming that strength that Nike shares have seen since they broke that 90 level around their earnings that they reported back in September. Shares are still above that all-time high $90 level mark. And so it's nice to see how, this kids purchase intent chart is really confirming that strength. But I do have a question as far as, are other brands that are comparable to Nike, are they also seeing strength with these younger demographics, like Under Armour specifically? I do have this tweet comparing the two, sort of, from CRM Trades. This user says, I wear my Nike Metcon for shoes, but most of my other workout attire is Under Armour, price. So I'm wondering how Under Armour fares too as far as the back to school shopping and whether or not Nike still wins out.
Yeah, Nike's winning out. There's really no doubt about it. I think the quality of their shoes is just unmatched by rivals like Under Armour, which a lot of times come up short in the footwear department, and that does translate to other sales. And so what happens is, when you start to see the movement that we're seeing in terms of direct-to-consumer sales, where we're starting to see people talking about shopping directly with Nike, whether it's online or in their Nike stores, that is really uptrending in a very big way. And so people are going into those stores or online to that site ready to buy shoes because that's really the only quality option for their kids and for themselves. And then they end up adding to the cart as they go and getting that workout attire. And so that's a big problem for Under Armour. It's a big problem for, Foot Locker, Dick's Sporting Goods, and so on. This direct-to-consumer movement that Nike's really tapped into is helping them, kind of parlay their dominance in shoes into other sectors of their company, athleisure, workout clothes, everything.
Yeah, I think that's well said, Andy. We've talked about this a lot with you guys regarding kind of the second and third order effects, then how it's affect companies like Foot Locker and really all of its competitors too, because of its ability to directly market now to its customers, do this now probably for a lower price point if it wanted, given that they're cutting out that middleman of a Foot Locker or the likes. But when you're starting to think about how it's doing so well with the younger demographic, how much of that is tied to some of their endorsement deals that they have with, whether it's in golf with Brooks Koepka or Tiger Woods, or we just had Kyrie Irving on the screen for the NBA, or of course they still have ties to Michael Jordan and the Jordan brand. Really, they're all over the place, and they're with all these different sports and celebrities. How powerful is that for marketing to the younger demographic?
Well, I mean, it really made Nike's company from the very beginning. The Jordan brand is still incredibly popular and actually gaining popularity. The guy's been out of the league for at least, 20 years or so, and is still selling shoes at an incredible rate. They are the kings of celebrity endorsements. They're doing very well. The other thing on the kids side of things, I would say, they've got a subscription service. It's called the Nike Adventure Club that we're starting to see some real traction out of, where you pay a monthly fee and you get the apparel from Nike direct to your door, kind of like a Stitch Fix for kids that's doing very well. So Nike's they're kicking on all cylinders, celebrity endorsements all the way down to subscriptions. Kids want to be seen in Nike just like their heroes are.
That subscription box makes a lot of sense for kids because, their feet grow so much faster than, adults do. So I like that a lot. But Andy, I'm wondering specifically, what sort of age groups are you looking at? Are these on the younger side, or does your data go all the way up through high school aged?
Yeah, so what we're tracking is anybody really that's on Twitter, that has a valid Twitter account and speaking in English and talking about these brands. And so when we talk about the kids, well, we're not talking about specifically identifying what kids are talking about. We're talking about what brands are being purchased. And that is the kids' line of apparel, the kids' line of shoes that are specifically denoted as such are really starting to take off. Whether it's parents or kids themselves talking about what they're buying doesn't really matter to us, because what we're seeing is that it's that kids line that they are purchasing and doing so at incredibly high volumes.
Andy, I think an interesting thing that you pointed out too regarding that subscription box is really that they're stepping into that space. So they're seeing these new competitors, kind of prove concept to some extent that people were interested in that style of subscription purchasing of apparel. And you're seeing a behemoth like Nike willing to innovate and try new things. I mean, that just shows how powerful this brand has been and continues to be. And you're seeing that within the data here as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like we talk about other times, how Walmart and Target could be disruptive to Amazon. You don't always have to be first. And if you're best and you already have the best product or best distribution, then getting the technology right is kind of secondary. You can kind of let some of these other companies go out there and take some arrows in their back and figure out what works and what doesn't before you really go direct to consumer in a big way. So Nike kind of sat back, watched, decided what would work, took their time, and then they have this incredibly powerful brand, and like you said, a celebrity endorsement to take to the market in a really powerful way, and it's just working. It's working in a big way across pretty much all demographics.
It is that brand name that really fuels Nike, and how you mentioned earlier their ties to all the different, sports teams and everything. It's really solidified them since their founding in, I believe, 1964. So they're definitely a very established company, which kind of makes me think about Levi, which we talked about earlier in the week, and that very commonly known American name. But I have another tweet for you, Andy, from Dookie Sinclair. Says, Nike turned out to be my big winner this week, thanks to good earnings. I don't even own a pair of Nikes at the moment, though. I feel like he should probably change that and buy some Nike shoes. But back to earnings, they really did perform very well. They boosted their online sales, more of that direct to consumer, which you're mentioning, and then also their North American sales and Greater China sales also showed growth. And so I'm wondering, looking ahead for Nike, do you expect to still see such positive momentum?
Yeah, I do. I think that all signs are that the momentum that they have is only gaining steam. I think, there's always the headline risk of their relationship with China and all of those things. But from a consumer demand perspective, Nike is hot and getting hotter, and I don't see that changing anytime soon.
All righty, Andy, I think that's really well said. I'm sure we'll touch base with you. They don't have earnings again until December 19th, at least that's when it's speculated to be. I'm sure we'll touch base with you guys around that time as well and see if anything's changed. But really great stuff. As always, Andy, thanks for joining us.
Cool, thank you.